Oh, today we've got a 2008 GMC Sierra, and it's got a little bit of a noise occasionally when the customer's backing up and turning. And we pretty much found it. I would say wheel bearing. That's gonna be my guess. So I picked one up and we'll pop it in here. All right, everyone, we got the rotor off. Had to take the lock screw off the rotor. Along with the calipers, we took those off. They're hung gently over here. They'll be fine. And I got some WD-40 on the bolts for the wheel bearing. Got those out. Took the axle nut out. And there's one more bearing bolt left. So I'm just gonna move the hub over here. Pull it around so we can get at it. And that bolt there on the bottom, we'll take that out right now. And we'll be able to pull this bearing out. We've got all the bolts out. Now for the fun part, where we take a hammer and just whack on it a few times till she pops out. And that's it. It's out. And we'll clean it all up and put them in. This step, I like to get in there with a die grinder and clean all this accumulated rust out that's been in there from the wheel bearing, because that way it'll make the new bearing fit nicer. And we always grease them up when we put them in there too, to prevent corrosion from the future. And it makes the bearings seem to last longer when they're torqued down evenly on a nice smooth surface. There, we hit that with the die grinder on the inside, washed it out with WD-40 in the air, and flattened out these rusty areas here on the flanges. Otherwise, the bearing, when you torque it down, will be pulled in the bolt tabs and makes the bearing out around. And then all of a sudden, 10,000 kilometers later, you got a humming noise, and you just put a new bearing in, and that's why. Okay, we've got the wheel bearing and the dust shield rock thingy, whatever you want to call it, put in place. You got to make sure you put your sensor wire through the hole, or you'll button it all together and go, uh-oh, and then you got to take it all apart and do it again. So now I'm going to thread some bolts in. I'll snug it up, and you got to make sure you torque these flange bolts to their torque rating. Very important, so it doesn't distort the bearing. Okay, I got the bolts in there, and they're torqued to 70 foot-pounds. And I've got the ABS wire routed, secured into place properly in all the little places where it goes. And I put some electrical contact cleaner in the connectors where it hooks up, so that'll keep moisture out. Now we'll put the brake assembly back together and tighten up the wheel axle. Okay, I got the rotor and the brake caliper bracket and brake caliper back on, and everything's torqued down properly. So now it's time to get the wheel back on. We'll torque that axle nut once the wheel's on the ground, and then torque the wheel back on, and this job's done. Okay, I got the rotor and the brake caliper bracket and brake caliper back on, and everything's torqued down properly. So now it's time to get the wheel back on. We'll torque that axle nut once the wheel's on the ground, and then torque the wheel back on, and this job's done.